Okay, so if you're familiar with the show so far, I usually start off the intro very gimmicky, and of course I do my little bit right here. I'm just going to be honest right here. This is possibly going to be the toughest episode I've ever done for this series, and on top of that, this is probably going to be the hardest video I've ever created as a content creator, YouTuber, creative, you name it. I mean, wow. We have a lot to talk about. Oh boy. What's up everyone? My name is Rapha Conrad, also known on YouTube as Random Rapha, and I'm your host for Wandering and Wandering Through the Wonderhole, the show that we discuss, react, and share our predictions / theories about Rhett and Link's Wonderful Beyond Wonderful show, Wonderhole Season 2. Now, I was not kidding when I said in the beginning of this episode that this is going to be the toughest episode I've ever created because this episode, the second episode for Wonderhole Season 2, talks about or uses this certain type of theme or themes relating to religion. Now, a little bit of fact about me is that I do not mention or talk about anything that has to do with religion and politics here on my YouTube channel and my content. I want to make this as a place for those that need something uplifting, inspirational, entertaining, maybe something inspired by good mythical morning Rhett and Link like this series. I want this to be the place for anyone that needs it. I know that as what the mythical beasts would say, be your mythical best, or take chances, make mistakes, get messy. I will do my very best to keep it very non-biased, very neutral, and of course, very honest. I'm open to the discussion about this, but this is a little bit of a heads up. After watching this episode, it really blew me away in a very good way. And I just rhymed right there. I will do my very best to be very honest and without being offensive at the same time right there. Before we go back into the Wonderhole, I do need to address something. As I said in the beginning, that this is going to be a very hard video to create, and I will talk about it right here. Although I want to keep this series separate from all my other content I've shared here. I don't want to talk anything that's too personal right here. I mean, it's okay to be honest and open and transparent, like I do with the series. Try not to be too intimate. I have created a little big community here, which at this time, close to 1,100 subscribers. Whether if you've been following me, supporting me since recently or for a very long time, I appreciate all of you, and you've been very supportive. So I just want to tell you something that has been really pressing on my heart for the past few weeks. And if you want to just go to the review, I'm going to put the timestamp right here on where to jump to so you can listen to my review on episode 2. But if you want to continue on listening to what I'm going to say, please keep watching. Obviously, I'm a creative both on and off the internet, but I'm also a human being. I deal with lots of challenges daily, responsibilities, and for the past few weeks have been very tough on me. I mean, I've gone through a lot of highs and lows here and there. One of the things that it's really been pressing on me, keeps me up all night, is my documentary. Now, for those that already know, or maybe do not know, I have been working on this documentary film about the history and journey of the fans of Rhett and Link, Go Mythical Morning, aka the Mythical Beasts, and it's titled For the Community. I have posted update videos. I also have a podcast, which is considered a companion to the documentary film, which I'm happy to say next Friday, actually, episode 2 of my limited series podcast, An Undoubtedly Spectacularly Mythical Journey, will be premiering next Friday, so be on the lookout for that. I just want to include that in there before I continue on. This has been what I consider a journey within a journey for me. I've been working on it since 2020, and it went from a one-person crew to now I have a collaborative team from all over the world that has been so supportive and helping me a lot to make this dream into reality. As of right now, we just wrapped up with production. Whoop whoop. And we're heading to, is what I call it, the last dance, which is post-production. Even though that, as I said, with everything that is happening, being a human being, creating my own content, creating content for other people, and working on this documentary film, I have faced some challenges recently that has taken a toll on me in every single aspect. For someone who is the producer for this project, I have self-funded this documentary film about 80%, and the 20% has been funded from people like you, for those that have given generous donations, whether online or in person, like attending in-person fundraisers. Thank you to those that have supported me over the past 5 years. As we are about to go into post-production, I'm usually that type of person. If I'm facing many challenges, I'll be like, okay, we can do this, we can do that. I can always figure out, come up with a plan right there. It's the first time in a while that I feel so sure about finishing this, because this is going to sound crazy. We have until the end of this year, 2025, to have it finished. I know that does not sound like a lot of time, but the reason why is because that needs to be finished. We are planning to go through the festival route, which means most of the deadlines happen as December and goes up to February. And we want to get this film in the big screen, especially participating in film festivals here and there. We cannot do that without finishing the film. Like I said, this has been a one-person crew, and now I have a group of amazing artists, creatives, even mythical beasts that have been working with me. Every paycheck that I've received from all the jobs that I've done and the donations that I've received to help them. And of course, like covering like the fees, like the website, the subscription services to edit videos like Adobe Premiere Pro or DaVinci and all that. I'm speaking for my team, my big collaborative team, is that we need your help to finish this documentary film. I'll put the links in the description below on how you can support. You can go to our online fundraiser or projectmythicalbeastfilm.com/donate. You can go to the online fundraiser set up by our fiscal sponsor, Fractured Atlas. You can donate one time or monthly. All donations are tax deductible. You can also visit our store, projectmythicalbeastfilm.com/shop. You can get any of the t-shirts, sweaters, including this Mythical Beast friendship bracelet right here. All proceeds from every single purchase will go towards the documentary film. If you are a small business or company or a creator or someone that is interested in sponsoring the documentary film, you can send our inquiries to the email address listed down below, projectmbfilm@gmail.com. Anyone that has supported the film will have their name featured in the credits, along receiving email updates on what's happening with the documentary film, including opportunities to see the film on the big screen and or online. And as someone who's been working on this film for a long time, I have been through highs and lows. I have seen so many miracles happening during this process, and of course, I have learned a lot as someone who's working on their first documentary film. And I'm just going to say this is a soon-to-be masterpiece, and everyone, whether for the fan base or for all the entire world, everybody needs to see this film. But we need your help to finish this film before 2025 is over. So check out the links in the description down below to find out how you can support. All right, well, that's out of the way. You know, they say the truth will set you free. I feel a little bit of relief right now to go into the official part of this episode, what this episode is about right now, but I absolutely need a drink. This is not sponsored by any means. This is by a company called Slate Milk. It has been a game changer for me for the past 6 months. Has the right amount of protein, low in sugar, and all that. This episode is not sponsored, but I do have a referral link down below if you want to get some on discount. So let me shake it up a little bit. I can't focus it right here, but there's Slate Milk. Let's get that ASMR action right here. Best sound in the entire world. All right, now let's go back into the Wonderhole. In case you've forgotten, the theme for this series is clickbait and switch. And in this episode, we start off with Rhett and Link doing something inspired by Ryan Trahan. If you don't know who Ryan Trahan is, most of his content he has done is basically he goes to these restaurants or Airbnbs or hotels that were rated 1 star, and checking out to see if they really are rated 1 star or they're worth more than 1 star. I don't think he's the original person that has done this. I've seen a lot of creators, but confirmation by Rhett and Link, if they were inspired by Ryan Trahan to create this episode. Rhett and Link were reading the reviews, the negative reviews, saying things like, the people were just like asking too many questions if they, their stay was good or they needed any good service, and the dumbbells were not equal, or the hot tub, and a little bit of a heads up. I kind of think that Link prophesied it, but when Rhett asked Link, did you bring a swimsuit? And then Link says, no, I'll probably take a dip in the hot tub with my clothes on. And then they continue that search in their own Rhett Link fashion, checking out the beds, if there were any bed bugs, checking to see if there are any damages or scratches, and especially they brought the black light just to see if everything was okay. I mean, this is they have a format, they have set up for it, but then of course how they do it is improvised in a way. They probably filmed it like different ways to like see what will flow and all that. But confirmation by TJ, the producer for Wonderhole, when they get the black light on and Rhett takes it over Link's jacket and he says, what have you done to your jacket? And Link says, it's been vintage. I'm not going to say the other word. That was totally unexpected. Of course, I kind of think at first I looked at it, it's like, where's that jacket been? Because it makes me second guess about going to thrift shops or buying something that is used. I kind of think it's bleached a little bit. There's, bleach will show up in black light, but just saying. They continued that search and they found this Bible, which appears to be the Book of Mormon, but it is the Book of Morgan. And curious Rhett decides to read it, check it out, while Larry... Remember VeggieTales, Bob and Larry? Link carries on the mission trying to investigate what makes this hotel 1 star, and especially when he was checking the towels, I see a little bit, just a little bit of myself when he did that. Sniffing the towels, throwing them because if they were bad, keeping them if they were okay. I see a little bit of myself through them because I do not use, when I travel, I do not use the washcloths. I bring my own washcloth that is reusable and washable. It works. But just everybody say it with me. 3, 2, 1.
Classic Link move!
And he goes to the gym just to see, based on what one of the reviews said, the dumbbells don't match. And he sees a scale at the gym. He steps on it and he says, oh my gosh, I gained weight. And then he realizes, oh, I'm carrying 2 dumbbells. Once again.
Classic Link move.
Bless him, bless him. I just love it that this series, that even though this is new territory for them, well, new-ish, but you can still see the genuine personalities by Rhett and Link, see their spirit through this series. They're just being themselves. Link goes back to the hotel room and sees that Rhett is gone, probably assumes that, oh, he just probably go to the hotel, the lobby, the bathroom in the lobby, which I've already predicted that he's probably going on his own investigation about what he just read. And then later that night, Link is still waiting and then opens the door and there's Rhett, totally drenched. Do you ever have this feeling that when you watch a movie or TV show and you're introduced to this character or characters, and as soon as they make a decision, like they turn this direction, they open this door, or they eat this or drink this. Great example, Buddy System Season 1, when Link drinks the water, which he knows, and we know, that he was not supposed to drink it, and then he comes up with cloned versions of themselves, and then they come to life. That's an example, bad decisions. A whale is gonna die. Have to endure watching this character or characters go on this new journey or suffer the consequences. As soon as Rhett comes in, totally drenched or baptized, and he has that look on his face like he's almost in a trance, and he puts this bag down and he goes to the bathroom and says, I'll talk to you about it in the morning. Do we know that there's something more to it than this hotel has? I mean, and then in the morning, it's breakfast. Link is still confused, and Rhett is wearing this uniform, which supposedly is the attire what employees wear, even though a very good symbol example of like what certain groups would wear, if you know what I'm talking about. Rhett is saying like, I have this new purpose, I have this new life right now, and I'm in charge of the ice machine even though I'm not paid. I just have this sense of purpose. And in comes Morgan, who is the owner of the hotel and the leader of this secret group that we will soon realize a little bit later. And I have to say, the girl that played Morgan, her name is Beth Crosby, and I attach her Instagram down below. Great casting choice because she just played the character of this so-called religious leader. I don't know why the first thing that came to mind is like a certain mega church pastors, or like one of those leaders where they're just like so welcoming, but then they're just like so holy. And especially when she goes like, when Link says like, she asks Link, do you need room service? And then she takes a deep breath and goes, oh, go into like this ritual, magical type of thing to get the room cleaned, or takes a card key that's defective and she goes, like, look it up. There are some people from certain groups that do that, you know? And as someone who used to attend a megachurch when she was a wee little child, I can prove that I have experienced and seen this before. And of course, thank goodness I don't attend that church anymore, because that, yeah. Different video for another time. But she played the character so well. And then all of a sudden in comes Rainn Wilson, which if you watch my react video to the trailer for Wonderhole Season 2, I predicted that Rainn Wilson was going to be in, and another star from The Office, which I think we will see that episode featuring that star coming up really, really soon. I just love it when Rainn comes in. And of course, I talked about it last year. I think I did, correct me if I'm wrong, but last year about doing collaborations or these little cameos by these big stars, like episode 1 from season 1, Howie Mandel was in it. And that same year, Rhett and Link were on Howie Mandel's podcast. And then this year alone, Rhett and Link were on Rainn Wilson's podcast. And of course, Rainn was on an episode of Good Mythical Morning and Last Meals on the Mythical Kitchen. I do believe that this is a strategy that not just Rhett and Link, other creators use this. For example, let's just say if this person right here is a fan of Rainn Wilson, but is not familiar with Good Mythical Morning. They watch content on YouTube or anything that has to do with Rainn Wilson or The Office. But if the algorithm says, ooh, because you love all content related to Rainn Wilson, I recommend you this video with Rainn Wilson, but created by this guy right here. This person who is a fan of Rainn, not introduced to Rhett and Link, is watching this episode and I'm like, oh, so Rainn is in this series created by these guys named Rhett and Link. I'm intrigued, and then that introduces to them to the world of mythicality, Rhett and Link, whatever you call it. I just had to do something right there. I could have used like graphics or something, but you know, you got to improvise, just like what Rhett and Link do, especially when the selfie scene, because when Link was just starstruck by Rainn Wilson coming in here, and they just do the selfie thing, like trying to figure out not classic Link move, not classic Rhett move, not classic Rainn move, classic dad move. That's what I put on my notes right here. I said dad vibes during the selfie scene right there. Now we go into the gathering, which besides me attending a mega church when I was very young, I also attended a Baptist church and a Methodist church. It brought back some memories seeing it. And especially when Morgan is there reads and then everybody replies back, it kind of reminds me of the same thing with like I think it was the Methodist church where they were reading their mission statement and everyone replies back. The episode is basically a representation of various religious groups, but using a hotel, almost like a satire, parody, or spoof in a way. And I noticed something. the people in the so-called gathering or congregation recognize some mythical crew members. And the guy who comes in says, like, I have a defective key. That's a comedian named Jared Castlebaum, who is married to the creative producer for Mythical Kitchen. Shout out to Annalise. Hi, Annalise. And by the way, if you want to see the episode before it premieres on YouTube, plus get behind the scenes content of the show, click the link down below, sign up for the Mythical Society, and you get 25% off your first subscription. I've noticed when they're in the behind the scenes, I said in the React video that I thought that when they put Book of Morgan, I thought it was a nod to the Mythical crew member and one of the creators for the show Wonderhole, Morgan. That's not his last name, but us Mythical Beasts call it Morgan. But there was this one scene while they were rehearsing, and the stand-in for Leader Morgan was Morgan. Anyway. Back to the episode. Obviously, this is a representation, especially with the ritual, especially when Morgan is like preparing to baptize Link right there. I don't know why. There's two things that came up. The first thing that came up was that scene alone kind of reminded me of this certain scene from the movie, not Guardians of the Galaxy, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. If you have not seen that movie, go check that out. But if you've seen the movie, there is a scene where the main characters go onto this planet called Vode 4. They meet this certain group that believe that they were created by this holy thing, their own god, called Great Green Arkle Seizure. And supposedly they were sneezed into the universe, and their symbol is a napkin, and even the garb, the uniform they had to wear looks like napkins, like kind of like their own mix of like what nuns would wear, but then they have napkins. And the ritual where like, you know, where they have to sing and they do the ritual, they have their nose up right here and they're just chanting, and then they ended, instead of saying amen, they sneeze. And the missionary, which I see a little bit of parallel between Leaderbrook and the missionary from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. His name is Homakavula. Okay, story time. So the scene where they're about to prepare to, you know, they're singing this hymn and they're about to perform, baptize Link. Core memory unlock. When I went to this Methodist church when I was very young, I was probably 6 or 7 at the time. And they were passing out the offering plates. And then as soon as it was done, the pastor would say, rise up. And we've seen the doxology, you know, praise him, all the blessings flow. And they gather all the plates. And this person is gathering all the offering plates and just stares up. This is why I have a big imagination. I thought that while holding the plates, I expected like some type of like spotlight on it or some type of laser that will make the offering plates levitate or some magical moment, you know, or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I just want to throw that in there. But the song or hymn that they sang in that episode, which earlier this year, Rhett talked about it in an episode of Ear Biscuits, that they were going to rewrite the lyrics to this hymn, which is There is a Fountain by William, is it Cooper or Cowper? I don't know. It's spelled Cowper. I'm familiar with the song, Lose All Their Guilty Stains. When he made that announcement, I, plus certain people, kind of had a little bit of a concern of like, is it going to be sacrilegious? But spoiler alert, absolutely not. And it matched the theme to this hotel, this group right here. And if you are familiar, I mean, like, this is very common, like, you know, comedians that are like any comedic song that's done to tunes to various hymns. Like, how many times have you heard funny songs done to the tune, like Down to the River to Pray, or Amazing Grace, like, amazing slate, how sweet it tastes. Totally improvised right there. Where's my Grammy? After we listen to the hymn and we see Link having that sense of discernment, kind of relatable to what they shared on the Lost series, the Lost Years series on their podcast, Ear Biscuits.
Bruh.
We see him, and remember, he said in the beginning of the episode, I may take a dip in the hot tub with my clothes on. He had prophesied that he was going to get, not only take a dip in the hot tub, but get baptized. And I still cannot believe it, if you watch the react video to my trio, that I predicted that there was going to be a hot tub. And of course, I said about the song, there was only going to be one song in the entire series. And of course, figuring out based on what Rhett said, that they were going to rewrite the lyrics to a hymn that has to do with love and a hot tub. A little bit of a connection right there, but I still cannot believe it that there is a hot tub. And then we see Link being baptized right there. Literal representation of like what baptisms, like the presentation of like baptisms, Rhett and Link are familiar with, and of course some people are familiar with. I'm very familiar with what I've seen so far. And it goes into, especially when he says 5 stars and everybody replies back. Every time that someone says 5 stars and then they reply back in the episode, it's just like, I bet if someone who is a fan of Good Mythical Morning or Wonderhole, and every time they see or hear 5 stars, they'll be like, 5 stars! It'll be just like a little bit of an inside joke. But now we see this montage, which the tune that he used kind of reminds me of something that Chance the Rapper or Kirk Franklin would come together. The montage with it, like you see Rhett being the best bellhop and Link practicing his skills on folding, is it called creature towels or animal towels? I don't know. You know, when you see that, it's like, oh, it's a laugh, but at the same time in the back of your head is like, this is not right, this is not right. And then when we go back into the hotel room, Rhett is rereading Book of Mormon, and he started questioning, like, I don't think this says differently than this one right there. And then Link is refusing to believe, saying like, I'm not listening, or stop deconstructing. Just a little, like, literal representation, or little, like, basically, as I said in the episode, last episode, that you don't have to know Rhett and Link's universe or be familiar with the mythical universe or seen their content to understand where they come from or what their history is like. And so this is basically, the episode is like their journey, the lost years put into this series, and of course themes what some certain religious groups are like. And we see Rhett leaving the hotel, go outside, and I forgot to mention during the gathering when they were going over the rules, I guess their own creed at the gathering, they were going like certain rules that sound like what hotel policies have, like pet policy, don't go out after 10, the pool's closed during this time, yada yada. And Rhett sees Morgan and her assistants and sitting at the hot tub. And Rhett is like, what are you doing? And of course, they're sitting in the hot tub and they're drinking, which one of the rules stated they're not supposed to drink. And Morgan is saying like, yeah, it's just, all this is like, you know, everyone is happy and we get to do this. And then we just see like certain leaders and certain pastors that, as I say, for example, they put on their Sunday best, but in the rest of the week, totally different. With Morgan, that just completely shows her being a hypocrite. But then the moment right there that I think it kind of left me just like, oh, why? And when she says, purpose is not bogus. And even though she just like, we just witnessed her and hearing her saying like, this, you know, this is just the rules as long as they're happy and all that stuff. And it says like, purpose is not bogus. And I just thought, I don't know how I would take that, because I do believe purpose is not bogus, but like, you know, it leaves like the listener, the viewer conflicted, is like, okay, but what's the type of purpose? Like I went to like a deep dive thing, is like, okay, what is the purpose about staying in this hotel? Or what is the purpose like this? And like, it will take like another hour to like discuss about like go into a deep dive. I'm probably may talk about, you know, a video about purpose, but you know, but that's another video for another time. Rhett goes back into the room completely disappointed And of course, like that scene where Ben, the director, is filming behind the window and it's completely silent, muted, and Rhett is talking to Link about what happened, and you see Link has this look of like either he's disappointed or he's just like refusing to believe until the morning comes. They're about to leave, finally, or so we think. And then Link said, yeah, I know this place is wrong, but I'm detecting a pattern here. Last season, episode 2 was the hardest yet the best episode. Well, I mean, I don't have favorites, but like that was like well done, like as in like not making it like very comedic, like, oh, this is like Rhett and Link stuff, but like doing something that is totally new for Rhett and Link's creative journey right there, where it's so different and yet it's so gut-wrenching, heartbreaking, but at the same time you leave there and like, it's so good. But with this episode being episode 2, I can see why they started episode 1 being like, haha, it's very funny, but then this one is just like, yeah, there were some laughable moments right there, but at the same time it's just like, why? I mean, if they're going to do Wonderhole season 3, which is I'm just calling it right now, I think that's what we're going to expect, that episode 2 on each season is going to be very hard to watch, but so good at the same time, if you know what I'm talking about. When Link decides to stay at this hotel, be part of this group, I mean, yes, it's very disappointing, but I think this is why it makes this episode so good. It's because that I think this is just a great example about, acceptance for others and loving others, no matter what they think, no matter what they believe, no matter where they come from. And, Rhett, even though he just can't believe that his best friend decides to stay with them, but at the same time, he just loves them. I mean, I don't want to go to this whole thing about like, you can love them from a distance and all that stuff, because everyone has their own journey. It's just that their own pursuit of happiness, their pursuit of joy. But just like seeing Rhett accepting Link's fate right here, and of course, Link accepting Rhett's fate of where you're going, I think that's just like a true example of friendship and a true example of like how we as a society should learn to love one another no matter what we think, what we do, and all that. And Rhett drives off and then it goes black. I literally was literally jaw dropped, and it was just, so artistic. And again, it's gut wrenching, but at the same time, you just feel like this is the best work they've ever done. To recap on what this episode is about. Yes, it is about a lot of people have said this is basically their deconstruction in an episode, but using the hotel as an example of like what they've gone through. Some people have said like, oh, I can relate to this because I used to, or I am part of this and that, or I have witnessed that right there. As someone who has been working on a documentary film about, yes, the history and journey of the fans of Rhett and Link, but also witnessing Rhett and Link's journey at the same time. I remember, and I have not talked about this, but I remember when they dropped that series on Ear Biscuits and about the Lost Years, their deconstruction series. And of course, I see the response after that, lots of mixed reviews, and even from people that like they don't agree with their beliefs, but then they just keep bashing them. And then there are some that, even though they don't believe the same thing that Rhett and Link do, but they are just like so honest, they're so accepting, even though like, and I've said this a few times, even though that we can disagree on a lot of things, that we can still love one another. It's like what Rhett has said, and I can't remember what episode he said on Ear Biscuits, was be the heart. If you look through their heart, then it will show. Now, I said in the beginning, I don't like to talk about religion on my channel, but I do have to say, and this is the first time for me saying this, that when they dropped the series in 2020, it really opened my eyes a little bit about, where I come from, where my journey is. But at the same time, that really opened my eyes. help me understand about like where people, you know, where they come from, where they believe and what they do. And understanding about like what it is about accepting yourself and accepting others around you. Yes, we'll all have all disagreements. And I have certain moments that I have disagreed with Rhett and Link, but I still love them. And I still love like the people around me. And, you know, because, you know, love is the answer. There is power in love. And with this series, like, I'm just going to be honest, I kind of got a little bit scared because of, you know, every time that there's a video that has been on YouTube or something that did mention about their deconstruction, and I see the response, I almost had like held my breath because I was very scared of like, is this going to be like deja vu all over again? But, and this is why I said in the beginning that this was like really surprised me in a very good way, because for all sides, you know, whether Catholic, Mormon, atheist, agnostic, Christian, that it was just, there was such a positive, and of course, like there were some that I saw that was just like, you know, sharing their perspective, but they just absolutely enjoyed it. And I'm, you know, I probably sound like I'm gushing, but I am so proud of Rhett and Link for coming up ways of like unique ways of storytelling, like where they share their own journey, but do it in their own creative way and the improvement. Especially, you know, in my years of being as an actress and being in like the entertainment industry and being familiar with comedy, it's, you know, comedy, you'll probably get hurt a little bit, but laughter is like medicine. And as long as that, you know, you'll be laughing at the end, you know, you feel good about it, I mean, you've done your job. And I believe Rhett and Link did an amazing job right there. Which brings me to, as we wrap up this episode right here, this week's ranking. I mean, I ranked the first episode as number 1, but I think after just talking about, you know, how well this was put together, finding that balance, finding like some themes and done in a very comedic way, I no contest that this week's ranking, the best episode for this week is episode 2, number 1, and episode 1 ranked number 2. I will be I don't know what to expect for next week. I mean, who knows? Maybe episode 3 will take the number 1 spot, but I can't wait to see another episode, and I want to. And of course, I'll be back next Tuesday for another episode. But I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts about episode 2? Feel free to comment down below, share your perspectives. As I said in the beginning, I'm open to discussion. I have that heart to learn, understand a little bit more, broaden my perspective. Like I said, there's power in love. And I kind of went deep right there. So, but thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, click that like button. It really does wonders. Also, if you are new to my channel and you want to be the first to see the new episode of this series, plus lots of content premiering very soon, make sure you subscribe and click that bell. And if you want even more content created by yours truly, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Rapha Conrad. Also, as I mentioned in the beginning, please take the time to support the documentary for the community. Click on the link in the description down below or visit projectmythicalbeastfilm.com. Again, thank you so much for watching today's episode of Wondering and Wondering Through the Wonderhole. My name is Rapha Conrad, also known on YouTube as Random Rapha, and I will see you next Tuesday. And remember, keep on wondering and wondering, share the love, and stay hydrated, people.